What's going on, guys? This is Joshua, Future Filmmaker 3940 Reviews, where I talk movies, TV, and music, giving you guys a brand new review, but it's not a 2021 review. This is for an old. I'm bringing back my older movie reviews after quite a while. It's been a while since I reviewed an older movie. It's to finally sit down and review the first two G.I. Joe movies. I've been wanting to review these for quite a while, and I have been requested to do these by I think Peter Vo once. I'm not sure, but these have been on the request list for quite a while. And if you guys would like to request any movie for me to review, you can put that in the comments section, and I will add it to my request list that I have on Letterboxd, and I'll get to it. It can be an older movie, it can be a movie I know seen. As long as it's not anything 50 Shades of Grey related, that's fine. But anyways, we're gonna finally talk about G.I. Joe 1 and 2, and I'm gonna start with G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, released in 2009, based on the toy franchise created by Hasbro. Another one of their big attempts at a movie franchise, right next to the Transformers series and the My Little Pony series. This is the first installment in the live-action G.I. Joe series. This was directed by Steven Sommers, written by Stuart Beattie, David Elliott, and Paul Lovitz, and stars a cast of Channing Tatum, Marlon Wayans, Dennis Quaid, Adewale Akinnuohi, Seth Kamagari, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Rachel Nichols, Ray Park, Christopher Eccleston, Bayon Hung Lee, Jonathan Price, Sienna Miller, and an uncredited cameo by Brendan Fraser. Armed with the latest military and spy technology, the team of elite order soldiers known as the G.I. Joes travel around the globe to wherever their services are needed. In their latest assignment, General Hawk, played by Dennis Quaid, requests Duke, Channing Tatum, and the rest of the G.I. Joes to take on Destro, a corrupt arms dealer, and fight the growing threat of the mysterious Cobra organization, who is also led by Baroness and Destro. When it comes to G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, when this movie, I'm gonna lay my cards on the table here. I know I am familiar with G.I. Joe. I have not played with a lot of the action figures. I didn't see the old 80s cartoon from back in the day, but I am aware of the G.I. Joe property and how much people love the character in the world of G.I. Joe, like Snake Eyes and Baroness, and that's cool. That's cool. I think G.I. Joe is a pretty interesting idea for a movie. And so when I saw the trailers for this, I was like, is this another Transformers movie? Because we just had one come in June with Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I didn't see Revenge of the Fallen until it came out on DVD. But G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, I remember seeing advertisements for this. I was like, this is cool. A G.I. Joe movie? I want to see this. And my mom, she is familiar with G.I. Joe, and she knew about it, and she told me about it. This was back when it was getting ready to come out, and I remember seeing trailers for this. I was like, this looks like a lot of fun, and I didn't get around to seeing the movie right away. I think it was a few months later after it came out, or the year after it came out. I'm not sure. But I finally got around to seeing it when it first came out. And when it first came out, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a great G.I. Joe movie. And at the time, I was not aware of the reception this movie got. I wasn't into what I am doing now in terms of YouTube reviewing. But I was aware of some people who didn't like it. And it wasn't until I looked up the movie a few years ago, after I got more into the filmmaking process and wanting to pursue it, that I found out this movie was not very well liked, including most G.I. Joe fans didn't like it. So going into this with fresh eyes as an adult, even with the mixed reactions, I was still curious to see if this movie will hold up. And I know some people don't like this movie because it wasn't the G.I. Joe movie they expected, or they just changed some things around. And yes, and they call it dumb and silly and over the top. And I will say of the two movies that came out in 2009 made by Hasbro, between this and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the one I have rewatched the most is Revenge of the Fallen, but the one I do have a lot of fun with, and plus this was the first time I've watched this movie in a while, because I have not watched this movie in quite a while since its release, or a few years ago, years ago. So going back into this with fresh eyes, I gotta tell you, I don't think this is as bad as people make it out to be. Now, I'm not saying this is a masterpiece or anything. It definitely has its issues. It definitely does have its faults. It does have some dumb things in it. It has some silly writing. The plot is not the greatest. It is goofy. But let's be real. The G.I. Joe show from the 80s, it was a little dumb and goofy, but it knew what it was, and it was self-aware. But I will say, this movie is fun. This is a fun movie. Getting into the positives with the movie, we have to talk about Stephen Sommers, the director department. I always start with either director or acting. Let me just say, I think the direction by Stephen Sommers is very well handled here. Yes, his style is a little different to what you would expect a G.I. Joe movie to be, but I think with Stephen Sommers, he does a great job in the directing department. Stephen Sommers, he's a director. I wouldn't say he's one of my favorites, but I do enjoy his films as a director. I like his movie Deep Horizon. I think that is a great movie. I almost said Deepwater Horizon. Deep Horizon is a very underappreciated film. I like his first two directed Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, with Mummy Returns being my favorite. Van Helsing, the CGI isn't that great. It does have some stupid moments here and there, but I enjoy Van Helsing a lot. And I think Van Helsing is a very fun movie that if you turn your brain off, it can be very fun. And his direction here for G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra is very still, is very cool. You see what's going on in the action is not like just a lot of quick editing, quick shaky cam. The action, there is some slow motion, but I think the way that Stephen Sommers directs the movie is entertaining for the most part. You're never bored. Else, it doesn't feel like Paramount got their hands on it and studio interfered with it. It feels just right in terms of his direction. It's fun, it's energetic, he embraces what the source material is, and I feel like of the movies that's based on these toy lines, I feel like besides the first Transformers movie and besides My Little Pony to a certain degree, and probably another toy line movie I'm probably forgetting, I feel like that this is one of the more faithful adaptations. Yes, it definitely does change some things around. It does have one little character problem, which we'll get to, but I feel like the direction and the faithfulness to the source material is there. If this was someone who was not a fan of the source material, I would easily tell. Hey, the dialogue here, at times, yes, the dialogue is corny, it can be a little over the top, it can be a little silly, but it embraces what it is in a lot of its moments, and the dialogue is not the most well written. You don't come to this for an Academy Award winner. That's the thing with most of these critics, where I kind of feel like the hate is a little unfair. Where I feel like they think it's an Oscar-worthy film, but not really. I just gotta say that I think for direction, I think the movie is very well written, and for the most part, it does have some stupid jokes here and there. It does have some nonsensical dialogue and some nonsensical things going on for it, but the script is fine. It's nothing to write home about, but I think the writing is fine. Talk about the cinematography and the editing, the action scenes, because I do think the cinematography and editing, the cinematography is done by Mitchell Edmondson. And is a very well good cinematography. You do have some great close-up shots of the team, a good shot of the team walking in slow motion. Even the action scenes are very well shot, especially the fight scenes with any of the Joes and the Cobras, or whether it's Baroness or Scarlet. I think those are really cool. It's good cinematography here, and the editing in this movie is very well done. I do like the editing. The movie is not ridiculously edited to pieces. It's not like it has 6 editors. It feels right. The editing feels right for the most part. The score, I do like Alan Silvestri's score. He is a great composer. It is nice seeing him reunite with this particular filmmaker. So the score is very entertaining to listen to. You do have a great G.I. Joe epicness to it, and the action scenes and with the musical score, Alan Silvestri, he does a good job in the score. So let's get into the performances, because we do have to get into those. You have Channing Tatum as Duke, coming fresh off of Step Up, and initially he didn't want any part in this movie because he felt like the G.I. Joe franchise associated itself with war and thought it was glorified it, but he had a 3-picture deal between this movie, another movie, and another movie he did with Paramount, which was Coach Carter. So I felt like with Channing Tatum's performance here, I buy him as Duke. He's very charismatic, he's very likable, and he does very well in the action scenes as well. Marlon Wayans as Ripcord. He does brings a serious part to this role. He does take this role seriously, and he is funny. And I think for all the people who thinks Marlon Wayans is not a good actor, he's good in this movie. Watch this movie and see what he is. He was basically casted on the strength of his performances with Requiem for a Dream. He is the pilot character. He is Duke's friend of the group, and he is also a romantic love interest for Scarlett, which I gotta say, I do like Rachel Nichols as Shauna M. O'Hara, aka Scarlett, which I gotta say, she dyed her hair red for this part, and for her role in Star Trek. And I gotta say, she filmed her scene in Star Trek before G.I. Joe, and I gotta say, her and Scarlett, she does a good job as Scarlett. You buy her in the action scenes. She's awesome in the roles. She did burn herself during filming an action scene with Sienna Miller, which we'll get to in my negatives. But Rachel Nichols, she does a good job. You get to know her character. She graduated from college at age 12 and became the team's intelligence expert. Ray Park is Snake Eyes. I like Ray Park as Snake Eyes. He's a good actor. He was good as Darth Maul. Anytime you see Ray Park, he's fun to watch, and I think he's very fun here as a ninja commander who took a vow of silence, and which is a departure in the character's traditional difficulty in speaking due to vocal wounds. And you know what, I gotta say, Ray Park, he was familiar with the character, but he knew very little of G.I. Joe, so he really got into it and did his research for the part. And I gotta say, Ray Park, he does a good job as Snake Eyes. Of course, Dennis Cobra Commander, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he does a good job. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of those actors I very much really like, and he's a lot of fun to watch here. Bayon Hung Lee as Storm Shadow. Storm Shadow, he is the rival of Snake Eyes. They were both close members of the Astronaut Cage Ninja Clan. I like that. I thought that was very cool, and I thought he does a good job in acting for the most part. He is very physical. They both do a great job. Actors like Arnold Vosloo as Sartan, Kevin J. O'Connor as Dr. Mindbender, you have Jonathan Pryce as the president, as usual. You have Christopher Eccleston as Destro, which I understand Christopher Eccleston's is very disinterested when he talks about this movie, but I gotta say he does a fine job as the main villain of the movie. He's the weapons designer. He's the founder of Mars. He's not the greatest thing, but I think he does ever. But I don't think this is his worst performance. Malekith, I think he was very wasted because he had potential as Malekith, but I think he was very wasted. The original actor was going to play this part of Destro was David Murray, who's an Irish actor, another well-known name. But due to visa issues, he was forced to drop out. And so Murray was later cast as an ancestor of James Cullen in a flashback scene. And I gotta say, Christopher Eccleston, he just fine the role. Like I said, you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander. I thought he was very fun to watch as the Baroness's brother. On the other, as far as the other Joes in the movie, have Adewale Akinoi Agbahi, which I'm probably one of the only few people who can get that name right. He plays Herschel Dalton, heavy duty. He's the Ordnance Export and Field Commander of the Joes. Originally, Common was going to play the part of the cousin Roadblock, but they decided not to go along with using Roadblock, and who chose to use heavy duty. Also, we do have to say Dennis Quaid as Hawk. I think this is a very odd choice, but he does a really good job here. They gave him 10 to 15 more scenes for the character, and he filmed all his scenes within the first 2 months of filming. That is impressive for any actor to do, despite how much short time he does have in this movie. And last but least, I will say you have Breaker in the movie. Said Tagamarai as Abel Shah's Breaker. He's the communication specialist. I thought he was very good as well. You also have an uncredited Surgeon Stone by Brendan Fraser. Jeffrey Stone. He plays Jeffrey Stone. He was gonna play Gung Ho, but he plays Surgeon Stone, and this was a very nice surprise rewatching this, because when I first saw this, I didn't even know that was Brendan Fraser. According to the commentary on the DVD, Brendan Fraser, he begged Steven Sommers to be in the movie, and this is the fourth collaboration with Sommers after the Mummy trilogy, even though Steven Sommers didn't direct the third movie, which I don't mind. Then we have, of course, Carolina Kokova as Courtney Krieger, aka CoverGirl, which I do hope with the success of Snake Eyes, we do get to see CoverGirl in action. And she's the Adelaide Kemp of Hawk, and I gotta say, she does fine in her role. She does good in the movie. The only real issue with CoverGirl is that they don't give her any action sequences, but it's okay. It's not like I'm upset with it. So I do think the Joes and the Cobras are very well casted for the most part. Also, some of the effects at times, while this is a CGI heavy, there is some practical effects going on. There are some practical explosions and some good mix of CGI effects. And the film, it feels like it's shot very. It feels like it doesn't have an overabundance on CGI. Well, it does have a little overabundance on CGI at times, but it doesn't feel like the CGI just completely disregards the practical effects. This is a $175 million budget, and they put all they had into it. And this movie had an extensive marketing campaign. I do remember that very well. And with the visual effects in this movie, I gotta say, 6 companies did special effects. The effects, some of them holds up and some of them doesn't, which we'll get into the issues, but I do like how this movie played out from beginning to end. It feels like, like I said at the beginning, the director, he does honor the source material, but also does something different with the source material, which I appreciate. Like, you can honor the source material, which if you honor the source material of anything, you get respect with it. But you should always do something different. For example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While they do make some changes sometimes it doesn't always work, they do have remained very faithful. The DCEU, say what you will about how Warner Bros. And everything with that, but they do at least make an attempt to respect the characters. And that's what I think they will do with The Flash. I'm counting on that. And you do have the comic writer Larry Hannah as a creative consultant on this movie, which definitely does help the enjoyment of the movie. Also, I will say that another one of the big positives there is that it did put a smile on my face. As someone who is a casual G.I. Joe fan, the movie does put a smile on your face. So there's... Sadly, the movie does have its glaring problems, and I'm going to get into most of these problems here. One of them does involve some of the humor with ripcord. It does come off a little bit goofy sometimes. Some of the humor is a little out there. Not all of it works very well. And there is some inconsistencies and some controversies into some of this movie's story. And the story is not the greatest either, which honestly, I'm not even going to put that much pressure on the script writers because it's not really their fault. This was more the fault of the 2007-2008 Writers Guild Strike of America, which was another thing that hurt Revenge of the Fallen. It did have an effect on the TV shows and movies back then with the writer's strike, and it was an impending writer's strike, so they had to do the best they can with what they have. It's not overly convoluted, or it's not like Pirates of the Caribbean 3 or World's End. And there's no writer's strike going on with 2021, 2022, so there is no excuses for movies like No Way Home later this year. But I just felt like you could use a little bit more fixer up in some of the script with this. Also, some of the CGI in this movie does not hold up. I gotta tell you. The CGI in this movie, some of the CGI does look like a computer-generated video game from PlayStation 2, but it's not where it takes me out of it, because there is enough practical effects and there is enough CGI in the movie is good, and the fight choreography in this movie is great. The action scenes are good. That's another positive I want to bring in before I go. The fight choreography and the sword fight sequences are really fun to watch, and they're very well choreographed. But with some of the CGI in here, it's not that great. I don't really you're not going to hear me say anything bad about the way the Joes look. I mean, yes, it's not their usual comic accurate costumes. They do add shade of black leather and such, in terms of the way they look here. And Snake Eyes' helmet is a little goofy at some moments of the movie, but I do like these costumes for the most part. The costumes, I think, are very, very awesome. Some of the CGI in this movie is beyond bad here. You have the hunters, and rewatching this, it doesn't really hold up as much as you want it to anymore, but I'm not really going into this for CGI or a character plot, but the CGI is one of my negatives here. Some of the effects does look a little unfinished at times. And my big issue with this movie, I'm not the only reviewer who has said this. I certainly will not be the last reviewer to say this. The Baroness. even though Sienna Miller is a well-accomplished, decent, respected actress, I have to say it, I do not think she was the best choice for the Baroness. When you think of the Baroness, you think of her as a spy and as the sister of Cobra Commander. I gotta say, Sienna Miller's performance as Baroness, not impressive. Not impressive. She's so over the top, so wooden, and at points very dull. Like I said, she's not a bad actress. It's just I don't think she was that. I would say she looks beautiful in the costume, but she's not Baroness. I gotta say it. I'm gonna say she's downright bad, and there is no question why she got the Golden Razzie for the worst supporting actress. She isn't a bad actress. I just think if you were recasted the part or just cut her out entirely, then I think you would have been fine. But I would easily go over the recasting. Luckily, we do have Ursula Cabrera playing her in Snake Eyes, and she should be good, right? I do have my issues with this film. I gotta say, G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra is still a fun, entertaining movie. Is it trying to be an artsy-fartsy movie? No. Is it perfect? No. Does it have its imperfections in terms of some of the CGI is mishandling the Baroness and such? Yes. But this is still a fun, entertaining first try at G.I. Joe. And of the Hasbro adaptations right next to Transformers, I feel like they got it right here. And they did the best they could. It's not the greatest movie ever, but that's not what you expect from a G.I. Joe movie. And G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra is a fun time. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you're one of those people who didn't like it the first time, try it out again and see what happens now. And if you are a G.I. Joe fan, you'll like it, but you can also hate this. So, either way, with that being said, I'm going to give G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra an epitaph. And that is my honest grade when I'm saying that. So those are my thoughts on G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. Let me know in the comments down below. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle? Who is your favorite G.I. Joe character of the Joes and the Cobras? My two favorites, the G.I. Joe, it will definitely be Duke and Scarlet and Snake Eyes, and my favorite of the Cobra will be Baroness and Cobra Commander. All my social media links in the description box down below. Be on the lookout for more reviews. Conjuring 3, a lot more videos this week. Also reviews from Gunpowder Milkshake coming. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified when videos like this go up when I go live. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It'll help with the algorithm. All my social media links in the description box down below. And as always, join the epitaphness, and you guys keep it cool.